Welcome back. As we said earlier in the newscast, Parliament resumed today following the summer break. Trade, the cost of living, jobs, there's a lot to talk about. So we've connected with Alex Marland, the Jaroslavsky Chair in Political Trust and Leadership and Politics Professor at Acadia University. It is nice to see you, Alex.
Hi, Todd.
Good to have you here today. We saw Pierre Poilievre and the Prime Minister face each other finally in the House of Commons. It was a little clunky, sort of a feeling out, sort of like heavyweight boxers sizing each other up. Is that typically what we see in the first few days of a term?
Well, you know, the first few days of a term, somebody like me, the students are evaluating us as professors. As far as things go in the House of Commons, it's not that much different. You know, everybody's coming back after a busy summer in different ways, and in some cases they were relaxing because it was very tiring after the election campaign. The thing that I think a lot of us are really looking for is, on the one hand, the dynamics between Mr. Carney and Mr. Poilievre. And of course, the NDP is really going to be a non-factor because they're just not going to have the number of questions that they have in the past. But more than that, I think really is the issues. And so once you get past the sort of how are the people interacting with each other, there's a lot of political issues that are at the fore and a lot of controversial decisions on the way.
Yeah, trade with the U.S. certainly among them, but you're beginning to hear more now about the upcoming budget, still a couple of months away. It's already being telegraphed as an austerity budget. Does the Prime Minister have to start selling it well ahead of its release in November, softening up Canadians?
So it's a good idea for him to do that. And that's absolutely what Paul Martin did as finance minister in the early 1990s, leading up into a 1995 budget that was very, very damaging for a lot of people. The reality here is it's not just Mark Carney who needs to be talking about this. It's all members of the Liberal caucus need to be talking about it, because Mark Carney will not want it all completely on his shoulders. But more than that, it's not just about talking about the fact that there's going to be spending reductions. There's going to be attrition as people leave. Positions are not going to be filled. What they really need to be doing is talking about why. And they need to make sure Canadians understand and are part of the decision making in that sense, because just to simply say it's about trade, that's not good enough. There's things like spending a lot on defense as part of it as well.
So you've got a budget that's going to be, using their words, austere on one hand, which suggests cuts, reductions. But on the other hand, Carney talks a lot about investments, which is spending. Can you have both?
Yeah, I mean, first thing, it's a pet peeve whenever politicians use the word investment, because I just see it as marketing. You know, the reality is it's spending.
Sure.
But the reality is where we are here is, yeah, you can find ways, and this is exactly what Mr. Carney's trying to do. You can find ways and opportunities to trim things, to find efficiencies, to say this isn't working well anymore. It's important and it's good for the public service to be asked to do that every now and then. You know, are there certain legacy programs left over, or things can be done better now with technology? Maybe the population has shifted and their needs have evolved. There's all sorts of opportunities to reduce the amount of money spent on things, even some programs that are not needed anymore. The challenge here is they're borrowing a lot of money already, and the Trudeau government have been borrowing money for years. And so there's not a lot of fiscal firepower left when you're constantly borrowing money and adding to a ballooning debt.
And there's lots of programs, of course, that are in the works. Those have to be paid for. Let me ask you about, the Prime Minister seems to be, lack of a better word, wobbly on the environmental commitments that were made by the previous Liberal government. We've seen him park the EV requirement for now. How far can he steer away from those Trudeau era policies before Liberals, many of whom were cabinet ministers in the last government and now, before they start to balk?
Yeah, and I would add to that commitments to Indigenous peoples as well. The reality is that I think he has a lot of runway. I don't get any sense that Liberals are at all upset with Mark Carney. If anything, in some ways, it's a bit of Justin Trudeau 2015 redux, in the sense that they have found a leader who's carried them to the promised land and has delivered a government to them that everybody was expecting would have gone conservative otherwise. There's a lot of respect in Liberal circles and beyond that for Mark Carney. I don't get a sense that he has to worry whatsoever. You know, there may be disagreements. There's obviously some people who are left out of cabinet who aren't going to be happy. There will be people who are leaving, who are going to resign their seats. That's normal. But really, I think Liberals are pretty happy with Mark Carney, and they're going to give him a lot of leeway as we go forward.
Okay. Finally, I can't let you go without asking you about an election set for mid-October in your old stomping grounds in Newfoundland and Labrador. What are you going to be watching for?
Yeah, this is a big situation in Newfoundland and Labrador because they have had a Liberal government since 2015, since Justin Trudeau first became Prime Minister. They are on their third premier. And in this particular case, it's all leaders who are trying to form government, who have not been in a situation where they've had that opportunity before. So what's happening now is we've got a situation where we're going to end up for the first time with a leader who has been elected, who had not previously been elected because Premier Hogan was appointed to the position. So what I'm looking for is the conversation about Muskrat Falls and dealing with the legacy of Churchill Falls in that province and their energy deals. There's a lot of conversation around that. But like anywhere else, there's issues about affordability, crime, housing, etc., that is going to come to the fore.
We will watch that closely as well, no doubt. Alex Marland, thanks as always. We will see you soon. Appreciate your time.
All right, my pleasure.
We're back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.